Hi everyone, and welcome to another Heroes of the Grid Ranger video. Today I'm going to be talking about the last core member of the RPM team, Dillon. Dillon has a standard combat deck layout. He has 3 shield cards, 4 2-shield cards, and 3 1-shield cards. Jumping right in, we'll talk about Dillon's character card ability, Defiant Defense. Its ability says, once per battle, when any ranger reveals a card for defense, you may choose 1 card from your hand and remove it from the game. If you do, add 5 shields to the revealed card. Now, removing cards from the game is very detrimental most of the time to the Rangers because there's no real way to get them back unless a card specifically says take a card that's been removed from the game and add it back to your hand. Thankfully, Dillon is, as far as I know, the only Ranger in Heroes of the Grid who can bring back cards that have been removed. And that's great because his ability is very, very powerful. For those few enemies like Darkonda who, well, I guess preview, Darkonda, who has lots of cards that you can't lower the attack value of those cards. Dillon is a great alternative because he can add shields to the cards instead, which he adds 5 shields to any revealed card. Again, you have to remove 1 card from your hand from the game, but Dillon can get them back, and you'll see how that works as we talk more about his cards. The first card in his deck is Defy Fate. It's a 0-cost maneuver card with 2 shields for defense. Its ability says deal 1 damage to an enemy card of your choice. Then choose 1 combat card that is removed from the game and return it to the top of the corresponding Ranger deck. So this is obviously the best example of returning cards back to that have been removed from the game. And thankfully, Defy Fate is not limited to just Dillon's cards. You can choose any Ranger that's had a card removed and add it back to the top of their deck. Thankfully, it doesn't go to the discard pile, so it's another defense for the Rangers to use, or potentially another option for them to draw into as the battle continues. The next card Dillon has is Do or Die. It's a 0-cost, 2-dice attack with 2 shields for defense. Its ability says if at least 2 Ranger Operator Series black cards are removed from the game, gain 2 energy. So if Dillon, let's say he used his Defiant Defense twice, once for one battle and then once for second battle, now his Do or Die is going to gain, when he plays it, he's going to gain 2 energy. And then later in that battle, if you want, you could use Defy Fate to bring one of those cards back to your deck. And you gained the energy and reclaimed one of your lost cards, which you could then potentially use in a future battle to use Dillon's Defiant Defense again. The next card in his deck is Defiant Strike. It's a 1-cost, 3-dice attack card with 1 shield for defense, and it has a star ability. Its star ability says when this card is revealed for defense, choose a resolved enemy card and deal it an amount of damage equal to this card's shield value. Naturally, on the surface, when you look at this is pretty much just a counter jab. It's because it only has 1 shield, so you're only going to be dealing 1 damage. But if you use this card in combination with Dillon's Defiant Defense ability, now this 1 shield becomes a 6 shield card, and you're going to be dealing that much damage to the enemy card. Thankfully, it can be any resolved enemy card, so it gets past the guard keyword. Unfortunately, it does still have to be resolved, so you have to have taken the attack or the effect of the enemy card before you can actually do any damage to it. Still, 6 damage to any enemy card is probably going to get rid of it. There are very few cards that can withstand 6 damage. And then you could always use Dillon's ability in combination with Defiant Strike, then you use Defy Fate to bring it back to your hand, and maybe deal 1 last damage to, let's say even 6 damage wasn't enough to take out the enemy card. You can use Defy Fate to deal that last bit of damage and bring Defiant Strike back to the top of your deck, which you can then use its defense again in the next battle with Defiant Defense. A lot of combo potential there. His next card is going to be Final Impact, an X-cost special attack card with 3 shields for defense. Its ability says for each energy spent to play this card, add 2 dice to this attack. After resolving this attack, remove this card from the game. So if you spend just 1 energy, you roll 2 dice for the attack, 2 energy, you roll 4 dice, and so on. And this is another card that will remove itself. You don't have to use Dillon's ability to get rid of it. So you play Final Impact, spend 2 energy, roll 4 dice, then you maybe use Defy Fate to bring it back to the top of your deck, or maybe you, even better, you'll use Final Impact, deal some damage, you take the next enemy attack, and you use Dillon's Defiant Defense. Let's say it was Defiant Strike that was revealed, use Dillon's Defiant Defense to deal 6 damage to another card. Then you could use the next turn you could play Do or Die now that 2 of your cards have been removed from the game to gain 2 energy, and then the following turn you could use Defy Fate to bring one of those removed cards back to the top of your deck. So yeah, Dillon actually seems like a ranger who could do pretty well by himself. He has that's kind of 6th ranger attribute, but he's not a 6th ranger. He's just part of the core team. His next card is Nitro Blaster, an X cost, 3 dice attack with 1 shield for defense. Its ability says divide the damage from this attack among a number of targets equal to the amount of energy spent to play this card. This is just the same Nitro Blaster that everyone else has. I won't really talk about it, but it's a good card. Let's talk about his final combat card, which is Rocket Blaster, his power weapon. It's a 3 cost, 5 dice attack with 3 shields for defense. Its ability says, for each Ranger Operator Series black card that is removed from the game, reduce the energy cost of this card by 1 and add 1 die to this attack. So if you, let's say, you had 2 cards removed from the game so you could play Do or Die, then afterwards you play Rocket Blaster, it becomes a 1-cost card, and you're rolling 6 dice instead of just 4. Not 6 dice, you're rolling 7 dice instead of just 5. This is a very, very powerful card. If you can find a way to spread the damage, that'd be very good. But yeah, it's just a really powerful card. Unfortunately, you do have to get the most out of it, you have to have more cards removed from your deck, which can cause a problem when you're trying to stay alive. But if you play your cards right, you shouldn't have any issues. And now we'll talk about Dillon's Zord, which is the Wolf Cruiser. Its ability says, exhaust this card when any ranger reveals a card for defense. If that ranger has 3 cards or fewer in their deck, add 3 shield to the revealed card. So, let's say you use it on, because if Dillon's been removing cards from the game, he only has a select few cards in his deck, he only has 3. You can use this card to add 3 shields to your revealed card and just stay alive a little longer. This is actually a really good card for those rangers that are running low. They're kind of in the danger zone of dying to the next attack. You can potentially save them for at least 1 more turn. And yeah, it's just a really good card. I really like it. You're not going to use it at the start of a fight, most likely, because most rangers are going to have more than 3 cards in their deck. But as the battle goes on and rangers are a little more weary, then Wolf Cruiser's the Zord you want to see. Alright, now breaking down Dillon's combat deck, he has 2 copies of Final Impact, 2 copies of Defy Fate, 2 copies of Do or Die, 2 copies of Defiant Strike, 1 copy of Nitro Blaster, and 1 copy of Rocket Blaster. And that is Dillon. Now the final member of the core team. My next video I should be talking about the RPM team as a whole when I use them, so look forward to that. And in the meantime, head on over to onceranger.com to check out the full card database, and I'll have affiliate links provided below. Thank you.